By mid-1965, the United States had decided to unleash its most fearsome weapon in the jungles of Southeast Asia, and the operation had a name that almost mocked its own destruction: Arc Light. The plan was simple in theory but apocalyptic in effect. Fleets of B-52 Stratofortress would fly in formation, climb above enemy radar, and drop tons of explosives with mathematical precision on suspected North Vietnamese positions. To the men in the cockpits, it was just coordinates on a map. To those on the ground, it was the end of the world. The first missions thundered in from Guam and Thailand, 3 shipped cells flying in invisible patterns across the black sky. The bomb bay doors opened, and suddenly the stillness of the jungle was ripped apart by thousands of bombs cascading downward like iron rain. The explosions didn't come all at once. They rippled through valleys in a rolling detonation that went on for miles, a continuous chain of destruction that turned forests into wastelands. Those who survived said the ground itself seemed to heave like an ocean in storm, waves of dirt and fire swallowing everything in sight. Even miles away, the air pressure was enough to throw a man to the ground. The North Vietnamese, who had fought against jets and artillery before, had never faced anything like this: an enemy they couldn't see or touch, whose bombs fell without warning, whose approach was marked only by a low, growing thunder that seemed to come from the heavens. Villages vanished, supply routes along the Ho Chi Minh Trail disappeared overnight. The Americans called it strategic interdiction, the Vietnamese called it the storm with no eyes. From their trenches, soldiers watched the horizon glow red, a curtain of flame advancing toward them, and realized there was no defense. Even anti-aircraft crews could do little but watch the empty sky and pray. Yet within U.S. command centers, the raids were hailed as proof of technological superiority, a clean, surgical demonstration of precision bombing. In reality, the bomb pattern was so vast that anything beneath it was doomed, friend or foe alike. The earth was scorched, and the sound carried for miles, echoing through valleys long after the bombers had vanished. American engineers later calculated that a single B-52 strike could erase an area the size of a small town. In the field, it felt like erasing time itself. North Vietnamese survivors dug through the debris, their faces covered in soot, their ears ringing for hours. They found no bodies, only fragments of uniforms, shattered helmets, and smoking craters deep enough to hide a tank. Yet somehow, amid the devastation, life continued. The same night that Arc Light leveled a valley, the North Vietnamese began rebuilding roads before dawn, moving supplies under moonlight, learning to live between bombings. For them, every strike was both terror and training, a lesson in endurance. American pilots spoke later of watching the bomb patterns from above, of feeling the aircraft shake from the blast waves even at 30,000 feet, of knowing that below them, entire divisions were being wiped from the map. But for the people beneath, Arc Light became a new reality, a storm that visited without mercy and left silence in its wake. The campaign was meant to cripple the North's will to fight, yet in a cruel irony, it only deepened their resolve. The jungles might have burned, but the spirit of resistance hardened like steel. As the sun rose over the cratered land, the survivors looked upward, not in fear, but in grim defiance. They knew the bombers would come again, and again, and again. Arc Light had introduced a new kind of warfare, mechanized, relentless, and impersonal, and in doing so, it revealed a truth that neither side could yet accept, that even overwhelming power cannot easily crush the human will to survive.